So good afternoon. We're going to call the Victoria County Municipal Council meeting to order for June 20th. And we want to welcome everyone this afternoon, and we would like to acknowledge this meeting is being held in Unama'ki, one of 7 traditional districts of the Mi'kmaq and ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Also, we will want to recognize tomorrow, June 21st, as National Indigenous Peoples Day. So with that, the agenda has been circulated to you and you've had a chance to review it. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? We have a recommendation that we bring forward from the meeting we had with the village. We're just going to add that to the agenda as well. Yes. Yes, good point. Please. Yep. Perfect. You can do that under district concerns. Excellent. Barb has a presentation that she's going to do. Is there any other additions or deletions? With those 2 noted additions, can we have a motion to accept the agenda, please? Moved by Councillor Organ, second by the Deputy Warden. All in favor? Contrary minded, and I just want to reference that Councillor McLeod is not available today. And just a reminder, when you do speak, make sure you turn on your mics. And when you turn them on, please speak into them so everybody can hear. So with that, we have a presentation this afternoon, and we have Jitka. And thank you very much. I'll get you to introduce yourself and your partners, and we'll proceed with your presentation. Then we'll open it to questions of any from council. So please, Jitka.
Thank you.
Floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm Jitka Zgola. I'm the chair of the St. Anne's Bay Timebank, and with me is Patsy LeBlanc and Marcel Lebois, who are members of the advisory committee along with me. And I'm here to talk with you, not to do a presentation, to talk with you about a proposal that we've had or that we'd like to present for your consideration of bringing Timebank St. Anne's Bay into the senior safety program of Victoria County as an adjunct program. And I want to sort of explain to you how this came about. And I sent you this letter some time ago, and I guess that you've all had a chance to look at it, that sort of outlines the basic principles on which this proposal is being offered. But just to give you an idea of where it comes from, is 8 years ago, we had SABDA, the St. Anne's Bay Development Association, had an idea of developing a program where people could be in contact with one another, to support each other, to keep seniors in the community longer by helping each other do the things that they could no longer do, but groups could do together. And the model that we chose was time banking. And there is an international time bank that has a software package where people put in requests, and the system is that you do something for somebody else and you're remunerated by a certain number of hours that you put into your bank, which then you can spend to get somebody to do some stuff for you. And the idea being that everybody's time is worth the same amount and we're here to help one another. Well, it was a great idea, except when you brought it to a community where people are used to helping each other and said, we don't need time bank hours in an account. We do this for each other as a matter of course, but what we found was that people had been doing it, but it wasn't happening nearly enough anymore because people were aging. There were new people in the community. There were younger people who weren't used to that way of life. And so it needed to be revived. And so we used time banking to do that, but we didn't keep track of hours and nobody knew how many hours they had in their account. But what we did was we just used that as a way of keeping track of how many offers and how many requests are being responded to and how much activity is happening in the community. And we also used it as a way of getting people together to decide what they needed and what they wanted to do. So we had people who got together and said, hey, we need somebody to do some music with us. And we got a ukulele group. And people were committed to doing it. We had somebody who said, we're interested in food. and mutual support in cooking. And we ended up with a food sharing group. And it started to grow like that. People started to see each other. We started with Watch My Back and Stay in Touch. People who'd been isolated for a while contracted with their neighbors. I will call you every Monday to have a chat. And they did it. Watch My Back was when I'm going out for a long walk on the ice, dangerous thing to be doing by myself, or if I'm going to chainsaw or I'm taking the dog for a long walk, I call my neighbor. I've contracted with that neighbor, call and say, I'll be back at 6 o'clock. And I've called Barb and said, I'm going over the mountain. I'll be back by 5:30. If I don't call you, you call me. Watch My Back. Hey, does this sound like senior safety in action? And so although we still call it Timebank, we don't keep track of the hours except to see what's happening. So it doesn't even have to and it's also useful in emergency situations. When you are used to being in touch with somebody and you know what your neighbors need, then you're much more responsive. And in an emergency, hey, that falls into senior safety really, really well. And when I looked at the model on which the senior safety program was based, I could see this mesh where senior safety collects information, makes information available. Timebank, or what we can still call Timebank, goes that one step further into the community, gets the people talking to each other, and hey, how are we going to do it? So that if you have an emergency response system set up in the community, it's not going to go very far unless the people on the street know how to respond. Or if you have a social isolation program ideas, it's important for people to get together. Yes, we know that, but people have to get together. They have to know their neighbors. They have to have decided we're the ones who are going to do it to make it work. And this is where the adjunct comes in. The Timebank coordinator is the one who facilitates this and makes it happen and calls the people together. And it's people like the membership who then decide, yes, we are going to do it. So it's the makes the outcome much more tangible and substantial. And I think it would be a fantastic model to see this connection, this collaboration, this fusion of the administrative information focus and the practical boots on the ground doing it. Be a fantastic model for Victoria County to show the province. This is what senior safety is really, really about. Seniors doing it with each other, with the support of their county administration. So that is our proposal to bring these two together. And we can see how it kind of, when I was looking out after the needs that were identified by senior safety, the things that people had needed was, what was the first one, Patsy? Transportation, safety. That's right. Household maintenance and property management is stacking each other's wood, shoveling each other's driveways. And the other thing that also that Timebank has also done is set up community resources, lists of community resources that are available at professional, but also casual, unskilled, or voluntary or paid. So that you've got a list of resources available in your community that you can call upon. And we've made this into an annual or biannual event now, where there's a fair, where the people who provide the services show their wares, and it is home support and various professional groups, but also the guy with the chainsaw will come and cut your wood up for you. All go on that list as resources and introduce themselves over tea and coffee and cookies to people who come in and see what's available in their community. So do you have other things to add, Patsy?
Oh, for the first time ever, no. Well, yeah, I'll just say one thing. That was wonderful. Jitka is very passionate. I'm always the logic one. I come in with the more logic. I guess what I see too, and this is what's worked very well in St. Anne's Bay, and many of you know the first few years I did act as the coordinator. Now I've pulled back and I'm on the advisory board for Timebank. But what's worked very well is even in St. Anne's Bay, we divide it into regions, and we go into those regions in St. Anne's Bay once a year and we say to the community, what do you need? And that's how the community garden project started, which has now been so successful, and they've taken off on their own, and they have their own little bit of money and they take care of that project themselves. That's only one. But I think that's something we discovered over time, that the more of these neighborhood sessions we have throughout our region, the more things that people get interactive with, and then the more they share with each other. So it kind of comes down, like we had these sessions last fall, and then one of the neighbors who moved in actually a couple of years ago offered craft sessions during the winter that people participated in and came out of their homes to do. So I guess that's how I see it working, is that, and you all represent regions, and you all have those neighborhoods that you can identify, how you divide Bollinger up or whatever, Fraser, so that's what I guess I saw. And people will come. People came because they get to say what they are looking for, whether it's socially, recreationally, safety, all those different categories. And it's been quite wonderful.
They're not coming passively to a presentation. They're coming to be heard and to participate. Yeah. And the Timebank also comes with a tremendous volunteer phalanx. I mean, a huge amount of volunteerism comes with Timebank. There's an advisory committee, but there's an awful lot of people who are committed to doing various other things. Now, but although it's a volunteer-based program, I'll tell you, St. Anne's Bay Timebank is the oldest Timebank in Canada. We're 8 years old. Timebanks don't have a very long lifespan unless they have a paid, committed coordinator. It needs that person to be churning, to be pushing, to be keeping things active. So to call the meetings, to pitch it, to keep pitching it to the community, but also to be there to solve problems and keep track. That's what we use the Timebank software for. If people are making requests and never getting any answers for it, or if people are giving offers and aren't getting picked up, then the coordinator can look at that and see, how do we get these people together, or what the problem is. And people might try it and it doesn't work for them. So she also keeps track of people who've signed up but haven't been active in a long time. So what's keeping you inactive? It needs that kind of a prodding, because Timebanks left on their own die. So it does need this coordinator to do it. And we have been every year looking for funding, and we've gotten wonderful, generous funding from agencies that support innovative programming. And we've every year have to present Timebank as an innovative project when we really want to start. And the good thing about that has been that we have evolved, because every year we've had to look at a new, different version, and that way we've shed a lot of the useless stuff and honed a lot of the very valuable stuff. And I think we've got the element now that we can say this should be an ongoing program. It's far too valuable, it's far too refined, and it's far too effective to keep trying to push to the resources, you know, that keep trying to change,
To the
trying to
community.
evolve. And this is the first year that we have not received our funding.
So what I'd like to do, and we appreciate your passion and interest in the program, and we're just going to open it up for some questions from council, if you don't mind. And
Absolutely.
we're cognizant of the amount of time we allocated for the presentation, the question and answer as well. So I'll start with anybody on this side of the table. Any questions or comments? So, Councillor McNeil.
Thank you, Gordon. And just a comment. No, it's a great program that you have. And I know for seniors, we just started a senior luncheon over in Iona in the last
I don't
in the last 6 months. And actually it's quite successful. And they're looking for things like this at that luncheon. Comments were made. So are you looking for Cassandra to take over the coordinator's position at?
We're
for the-
looking to, I think Cassandra's strengths and her position is a full position in itself. There's no way that we would add any more responsibility to that position. We could see this as an adjunct, as a collaborative, as second part of the program, and we're looking to the coordinator, and I think we can change the name Timebank, but we'll call it Timebank for the time being. The Timebank coordinator as a contract position to work alongside. Yeah.
Councillor, thank you, Jitka. We're good on that side. Anybody over here? Any questions, comments? Councillor McDonald.
Just thanks for the presentation, very informing. I know Bay St. Lawrence had a smaller scale type time bank through the Bay St. Lawrence Community Center, and they've helped seniors pile and wood and things of that. But I've heard from other seniors in my area who are reaching out for those services as well, just outside of Bay St. Lawrence and Dingwall or Cape North. And I think, as you recommended with Cassandra, that's an excellent idea. And I've always been for seniors, and I think it's a great initiative. And thank you for the continued work, and wish we could all be like St. Anne's Bay a little more.
Well, I think that's what we can do, is we can spread it through the whole county. And then one of the things that we were talking about was the Timebank coordinator could then reach out to people like the coordinator in Bay St. Lawrence and those people, and work with them to support them and to spread the word and to provide mutual support and information.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Longa.
Well, of course, I think it's a great program, and I've witnessed how wonderful it is, and it enables seniors to stay in their home and even have a wood stove if they want to, because now they have people that can help them stack wood, and it doesn't have to be a physical thing. Like, the return for that could be maybe they make biscuits for someone, or like everybody is of use. It could be even spending time visiting with people. I try to see how it can work, like how the county can be involved. Like, I think that every community, because each community is different, and we would need a champion in each, like a person that runs the program, like at the ground level. And then, yes, maybe this person that was with the county, maybe they could help like figure out the funding, because they get a lot of information about funding at the county level, like where places that you can apply. So I'm just trying to figure out how it could work that way if the person that was at the county, because it'd be hard for them, like dealing with the individual people in each community. It would have to be this champion person would deal with the person in the courthouse.
Yes.
And so maybe that would be in the way of like supplying the funding to that person that's running the time, because the person that's running it on the ground level, it puts a lot of time into it. They kind of have to be paid for their time. that
I
they're
think-
putting
I
in,
think that
the
that-
organizer?
We have to think of sharing that out as it is now. The main coordinator is the paid position and everybody around it is volunteer. And that responsibility for keeping track of activities, for planning activities would fall in the coordinator's purview, who would then support people in the community and their needs, their expenses, and their travel time or whatever other time could be negotiated, figured would have to be budgeted into the overall program budget.
Right, excuse me. Thank you, Counselor. So I just want to be clear on what your ask is. You're asking that the responsibility for the time bank be housed under the senior safety officer's responsibilities with the municipality.
Oh, as an adjunct program.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, and we just need to know because
Yes.
council, for the most part, we don't assign staffing duties. Like staffing is not our responsibility.
Yeah.
We're responsible for programs, but not
Yes.
the staffing aspect of it. So, unless does council have any other questions, recommendations before we?
A contract position.
Okay. I
Yeah,
thought
a
it was.
part-time contract position.
Thank you for clarifying that. I thought it was just you expected her to do
Yeah,
those.
Patsy?
That
We have a pending proposal right now that we've submitted to the county. It's, I don't know if I haven't received a response on it, but anyhow, that one was for $7,500 approximately. And that was for the St. Anne's Bay region to
Mhm,
continue what we're doing,
correct.
right now.
Right.
What we're looking at, because of all the success that we've had, is could that be expanded again to a part-time position that would serve the whole county with our lessons learned? And, I'm, and looking at perhaps $15,000 for that, and that would expand, and the whole county would have the same resources and the same access that people in St. Anne's Bay have. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you. And thank you for clarifying that. I wasn't sure if it was the program or the person. So that proposal has been forwarded to the municipality for consideration. To be quite frank, we haven't dealt with that or reviewed that at this point. It would probably be reviewed by staff and then a recommendation made to council. So I think that's where we're at here and now. So, pardon? I'm not sure. It was through the community grants. I'm sorry, just getting some. So that was, it was asked.
Yeah, it was.
So you should have a letter.
Yeah, it was sent. Yeah, it was sent in March before the end of March deadline. Yeah.
So that application was reviewed and you should be receiving correspondence in regards to the decision
Okay.
for that grant.
Okay.
That should be, if you haven't received it, you'll be receiving it very shortly.
Okay.
So,
And then, like I said, what we presented today is something additional.
yes, I
Yeah.
understand that now.
Okay.
So we're clear on that. There's just a little confusion around that. So I do thank you very much for presenting today. Thank you very much for the information that you provided, and we'll take your the information provided today under advisement. And thank you for your time.
Well, thank you all for hearing us and for considering it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Next item on the agenda is we're pleased to have Staff Sergeant Joshua Wiese here with us this afternoon. He's going to provide an update from the RCMP. Welcome, sir. Pleasure to have you back to council. More of a verbal report as opposed to a technical report?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Good.
It's
So we don't.
been a busy past couple of weeks for me, and I just haven't had time to sit down and crunch some numbers. So it'll be more of a anecdotal update than here's your actual stats update. There was a question last week about the heavy police presence. There was a rash of home invasions, not in an area policed by the Baddeck or Ingonish teams, but we were helping out with Inverness County with some robberies that were down in their area involving firearms, and then we had a rash of home invasions and robberies in our area with firearms in the Wamacook team. So we were busy the last 2 weeks. And then it's been short staffed. So we lost our DA in Ingonish. So we're currently about to start the process to hire a new administrative assistant at the Ingonish detachment, and just going through the usual summer vacation and other staffing shortages. So throughout the entire time, there hasn't been a drop in service. The coverages have been maintained through backfill with overtime and rescheduling members and things like that. So it's been a dance, but we've managed to dance it, is what I would say. So unfortunately, as a result of me sometimes being out there doing some of the work myself, I just haven't had a chance to sit down and look at Excel spreadsheets or talk to the criminal analysts that we utilize at a headquarters to detail my numbers and just try to drill down and provide an update on stats. There hasn't been any significant change in anything. There's been no spikes or peaks. It almost, I haven't started seeing our seasonal B&Es, which is a bit unusual. Normally we get a rash of them. They're discovered after the winter. Somebody goes to their summer cottage, and we haven't received many of those. I haven't been on shift and heard one called in myself. And I'm generally working 6 days a week now, so I'm not hearing anything on seasonal B&Es. I'm sure they're coming. And we have 2 areas that are kind of the hotspots for it. It's usually out in the Washabuck Peninsula, and then the other one's over on Bulladry Island, down in the Ross Ferry area. But they just haven't started rolling in yet. So maybe people are late to open their cottages, or trying to step up patrols in some of these areas may have worked out for us. And some of the neighborhood watch programs and people just asking their neighbors and keeping an eye on the road may have been working out as well.
So we appreciate going straight to the source with our conversation. The technical reports, don't worry about that. It's more about the conversation, more about being able to have questions and concerns from specific districts. So if you're okay, bless you. If you're okay, perhaps we'll open it up to some districts. And I know you may have to, or have been advised that you may have to leave, or potentially if we don't have finished the conversation, the councillors will follow up with you on an individual basis. So perhaps we'll start with district number 5, please.
Hey, Warden, welcome, Josh. You mentioned break-ins in the Bulladry area. Now, I haven't heard of that many. You know, you usually do hear through the grapevine, so I don't know if they're down or up or whatever. But like I said, I haven't heard of them. In regards to the staffing issue, a number of us attended the Federation of Canadian Municipalities annual meeting, and it's a problem across the country. I mean, I think every detachment that is down in staffing or low. One of the answers given was that Depot is taking in more recruits now, I understood, and it should be how long it takes them to go through whatever period of time those members will be available, you know, for posting across the country, which may ease some of the staffing issues you're facing. I just, you know, are you aware of that, or do you have that impression too?
Yeah, I can speak quickly to the B&Es. They feel down, but I don't want to give you numbers. But I don't want to, it's just, I haven't heard of many. With respect to staffing, I had a unique opportunity 2 weeks ago. The commissioner of the RCMP actually came to our area with the specific intention to go to Ingonish, up to Cape North. We drove through the entire Highlands Park, came out around Shetty Camp, and back down again. And I had hours of one-on-one time with the commissioner of the RCMP and with the assistant commissioner in charge of the division. Depot is moving at 50 troops a year, 32 recruits in a troop. We had a new recruit assigned to us who will start work August 8th. It's good. It does solve a staffing problem. It's a 6-month solution because it does take them 6 months before they're off of their recruit field training program and then into a 2-year probationary period. But it is a solution. It's not an RCMP problem. It's turned into a policing problem across Canada. Our partners in the municipal world are in the exact same boat as us. At the same time, I would say that we haven't seen it affect public safety yet. The coverages are maintained. There's a police officer available when needed. What it is we're trying to do more with less these days until we get a bit caught up. Unfortunately, we created a surplus position in the county as well, and we're just waiting to staff that as well. So we actually, as we're trying to power through some of these what we call soft vacancies, the position's filled, but the person can't come to work due to a health issue or something like that. So if we create a surplus position, it's not billed back or anything like that. That's something that we fund internally. I can get a police officer posted here anticipating some of these other vacancies that are going to come about as a result of different processes that are going on internally. Haven't filled the position yet. We're still looking for the person to fill the position. And we can't place a recruit in what we call a surplus to establishment position. It has to be an experienced member, which is a bonus because 2 recruits are great. I'd rather have an experienced member who can just show up and start working. We've started using reserve members to supplement some of the policing. So Ingonish has had 2 reserve members. One just finished a 2-week contract. Another one's in the middle of a 2-week contract with us. Those are retired police officers, still young and healthy, come back and hit the road on a part-time basis for us.
Thank you. Councillor Organ, any questions or comments?
Hi, Josh. Just a little comment about the Ingonish area. Excuse me. I'm getting some comments about the young ones from the garage, the Ingonish Irving garage, pulling out of there in the evening time. You can go down and look at the black marks on the road, but if every now and then maybe one of the members could drive by at closing time or whatever, or just speak to them. They're not bad kids. They're just, especially with the traffic now coming out, it's kind of like a blind turn there. I'm scared something's going to happen to them. But yeah, that's
Absolutely. When you say the garage, do you mean the Irving? Okay. Okay, absolutely. That's not a problem at all. I'll talk to Corey, the team leader up there, and tell them to put that on their list in the evening around closing time. Okay. Not an issue. Their job is to be on the road all the time. So it's just a matter of trying to focus everything, but I'll make sure that he's well aware of that one.
Councillor McNeil, anything?
Thank you, Warden, and thank you, Josh. I want to thanks for actually in the last couple of weeks, I have seen more presence around the Iona area, and that was great. There was a little bit of vandalizing of signs and roadways and the church in Washington too. I don't know whether the 2 of them were related, but it's like residents thought that they would be related, and that's a shame that it would come to that. So thank you for more presence.
One's suspicious timing. It's very coincidental how there's the spray painting, and then there was the what appeared to be an attempted fire being lit at that church. It's all wood, so thank God it didn't go up. And it would be the loss of, almost a historical site. It's so old. I know that there wasn't much information generated on either of those. People have cameras, but the cameras are normally pointed towards their house, not necessarily out to the road. But it has been an area that's been stepped up, not so much for property crime, almost for some other reasons as well. We're finding a bit of a corridor going through the Washbuck Peninsula across the ferry and Grand Narrows. People are trying to avoid the main highways and now zipping through there. So it's definitely on the list of areas that we try to patrol now.
Going down to on this side of the table, Councillor McDonald, perhaps?
Is there? None that I know of anyway.
So, just me.
Just you?
I was accused of going through a stop sign, but that's it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that rumor.
Yeah. No, speeding would be the issue, as it always is on either side. Something that I've talked to the Ingonish team and the Baddeck team to be out there proactively dealing with that. We're also waiting on a decision, which is something that I'll discuss with the CAO as well, that the council might want to take a position on depending how it goes. But the traffic unit in Sydney, we've seen in the newspaper the August 30th directive. That's a traffic unit that I don't have access to, but every other single county in Nova Scotia has access to what we call, or I call, enhanced policing, which is highway patrol. They go out, they look for speeders, aggressive drivers, distracted drivers. They're not bound to the radio. They don't answer calls. They're an enhanced, almost a deterrent to try to lower, fatal accidents. And fatal accidents have been on the rise lately. Every other county, except for the ones in Nova Scotia, have access to this highway patrol unit, and we don't. They're bound to Cape Breton County. I think we saw that the cost was estimated at $1 million. And now the question is, well, where's everybody else's cut then? Why does Cape Breton County receive this? Why doesn't Victoria? Why doesn't Richmond? Why doesn't Inverness? Antigonish has a traffic unit that services Antigonish, Pictou, and all those counties down there, but we seem to be without. So I'm interested to see how this plays out with the DOJ, the Cape Breton Regional Municipality, and the directive that we're told. It's not something that we have a stake in. We're the service provider. We do what we're told to do by the contract partner, which is the Department of Justice. But it could provide an extra layer of traffic enforcement if they're released from Cape Breton County and allowed to basically do the circle of the island and do enhanced enforcement on the rest of the highways. So we'll see. August 30th, I'm waiting, and then if things change, it might be a discussion to be had just to see where that service goes and what the expectations of the other communities are for it.
Thank you, Barb. Councillor McDonald and Deputy Warden are the last two.
Just a quick question. Thanks, Josh, for the update. If you could just pass along appreciation to the members in Ingonish on behalf of EHS and Niels Harbour and Ingonish, who some of the members have responded to some of the calls we have had lately, which have been busy for us, but really appreciate the quick response and the hands that they helped us along with. And the only last question I have is, you said in Ingonish, was it the C you were replacing? I didn't catch is that the front office?
The administrative assistant,
Yeah.
yeah, the front office, called the detachment services assistant. Her partner received a job offer he could not turn down back where he came from. And despite what I tried, I work for the government, so it's hard to entice people. There's no bonuses, there's just pats on the back. And it wasn't enough with the job offer that her spouse received. So I'm hoping to see an external advertised process. I'm just working through public service labor relations to see when that'll be advertised and how long that process will take us. So for the time being, we're managing it out of the Baddeck side office with the administrative assistant there, trying to manage what we can from there. And then it's trying to figure out how to have some office hours in Ingonish that we can still do those criminal record checks, the vulnerable sector checks and things like that.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Ward.
Yes, thanks, Josh. Thanks very much for coming to council. Appreciate it. Just in the Ingonish area, I have noticed that I think you were shorthanded, and I noticed a lot of new members have been traveling back and forth. So that's good to see. We used to have meetings maybe once a year, twice a year with the councillors north with the detachment there. I'm just wondering if the new, I'm not sure what you refer to him as a sergeant or what I'm not sure who's the head guy in Ingonish, but if he's willing to meet with us maybe even once a year just to discuss what's going on north of Smoky. That I found that excellent with Bobby, I believe it was. I think it was Bobby. Yeah, I think once or twice a year he used to meet with us and just go over anything that was going on, which was great. One thing I am noticing since the change in leadership there is the cars are in the parking lot all the time. they're always at the station. And what I'm hearing is people going by and says, oh, we can speed on the North Shore now because there's 3 vehicles at the station. Before, we never noticed that before. There was the odd time there'd be a vehicle there. I don't know if the members were taking their vehicles home and maybe not allowed now. I'm not sure what the story is, but that's in the community. I'm hearing that the vehicles are at the department. And maybe it's because the commissioner was down or whatever, I'm not sure, but every time I go by, the vehicles seem to be at the detachment. The other thing is I was notified that apparently one of the park wardens has been transferred out of Ingonish, and I believe that only leaves the one warden. How is that going to affect RCMP? Are they relying on RCMP to do all their stuff? I know they do most times anyway, but do you feel that's going to have an impact on the members in Ingonish with that loss of the park warden?
I'm going to start at the beginning and then we'll work through it because it's 3 things. Corporal Corey Steed, he'll do what I tell him to do. We can do monthly meetings if you had the time.
Yeah.
I can go up there and introduce whoever wants to meet him for a coffee at the office one day, and we'll get that local ball rolling. Not a problem at all.
Okay, good.
Corey joined us from a 3-member post in a very remote area of British Columbia. He's very accustomed to small town policing.
Yeah.
And he's got some local ties back here. His spouse is from Donkin, so he was looking very much forward to being back here.
Good.
She's working at the Buchanan Memorial Hospital. She's an RN. So very happy with his posting. Pleased to be there. The vehicles, some of it would be a bit of a learning curve for the 2 members there, especially Corey coming from British Columbia, having to relearn the computer system and everything else. The other half is I actually have 3 working vehicles there. You'll see a brand new Chev 1500 now in the area. So we've actually been short vehicles and sometimes only running 1 or 2 vehicles in Ingonish and sharing it and then migrating vehicles up from Baddeck and down again.
Okay.
I've had 5 vehicles replaced in my fleet in the last 5 months, and 2 of those vehicles were just scrapped, sitting in the back lots waiting to be crushed. The North Shore is definitely an issue. It's basically Jersey Cove all the way to, I would say, right where you can no longer pass safely. So, kind of just before Cape Smoky. It's going to become a bigger issue as the summer progresses. One of our major issues, the school buses will slow down in the next week, obviously, but then that'll fire back up in summer. And it seems to be just people are not patient with that 80-kilometer speed limit. So I'll pass that along to Corey and provide him with the direction that, we're going to expect to see them down in that North Shore, Breton Cove, Jersey Cove area.
Okay.
And then I don't know, this is where I'm going to be a bit naive. I don't know exactly where the park wardens stop and where we begin, because I think we just handle all of the criminal matters. We become the lead normally on the search and rescues that happen. The bulk of the search and rescues in the park are people who just broke a leg off of a trail or something like that. They're not, the park's well maintained, so it's a lot of kept trails. We don't get a lot of people who are out in the backcountry going through the bush. So it's unfortunate that we lost one of the wardens, because they are like a partner in policing community safety. That'll be a very coveted job. I think they'll fill that very quickly.
I don't know if they're replacing it. My understanding is they transfer out of there and they're not replacing it, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
It'd be interesting.
She just came here she's only been here roughly a year, and I know she wasn't very happy with being transferred out. So
maybe I'll retire for that job.
Great job.
To me, it'd be a very coveted job.
It would be.
So we'll see. I know we don't interface with them as much as we could or should, but that park being, a more remote park, it's not one that attracts the rambunctious camper or things like that. So we don't really interface with them too much.
Okay.
When it comes to law enforcement or public safety. They're pretty self-contained, and they phone us for the criminal matters. The criminal matters go direct to us. They generally don't even stop at the warden. When you call 911, it's not even on the radar for OCC to try to see what Parks Canada stake is in it or not. Yeah.
Good. No, thank you very much. Oh, by the way, the new guy, a few of the fire department members have met him, and they have not but good word to say. He's very, very helpful and works with them, so we appreciate that.
It's good to hear that the partners in public safety between the fire and the ambulance have had a good experience, because it's a remote area. Time's of the essence. Time and distance is an issue. I've tried to explain to people that if they're down in Jersey Cove, which is one end of it, and then something's going on in Meat Cove, which is the other end of it, even if you're lights and sirens, you could be looking at an hour and a half And then you're also fighting traffic or weather or many other things when you're trying to get to these places. So it creates an issue. So it's good to hear that we are developing or maintaining good partnerships there. Mhm.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. I know Leanne has a question or comment.
Yeah, just had just two things. Just wondering if you could put some stats together, if you would forward to me, and then I could forward out to council whenever you get a chance. So you could have that information, which was looked for. And then we'll probably also look to set up a meeting with you with fire services, EMO, maybe even take in some EHS on some stuff there also, just to have a meeting. I think I was requested by our EMO or fire services coordinator, just to have a little discussion.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I can get stats together hopefully early next week, pending any other pressures. No, I'm out of town next week on training. So the week after.
Thank you. I'm just gonna ask my question and then
Yeah.
just a second quick go around. Just in around, I'm sorry. So, Jackie does, yeah, we just go for the second. Myself and one of the other councillors in around Baddeck area, certainly hearing rumors and lots of discussion about increased drug trafficking and increased drug use, particularly cocaine in around the community. Is that a concern?
Trafficking use, always a concern. I wouldn't say increased. I would say you're just hearing about it more. Your people who use cocaine, whether it's habitual or recreationally, or they're all around you on a daily basis. Addictions is, it's a hard one to manage. I just had this meeting earlier in the week with partners in Wamacook, and the drug dealers are a problem. They become emboldened. The addicts are a problem as well. And there's not enough treatment. There's not enough pathways out of addiction, whether it's alcohol or drugs, and it's an issue as well. And when I'm talking about these armed robberies and the home invasions that took place last week, when we had the ERT team in and things like that, it wasn't the drug dealers doing it. It was more the bottom end, the addicts doing it. So there's two different problems that are very two different things to deal with. I wouldn't say it's increased. I'd say it's maintained, and then some people became emboldened and started doing things, and addiction was getting people to do things. And then it generates people talking about it. So if it was talk you've heard in the last 3 weeks, it's probably just what's gone on in the last 3 weeks has gotten people talking about it more. But the feeling, my experience in it is we haven't had 1,000 new people addicted to cocaine in the last 6 months or things like that. I would say that things are kind of status quo. It's just a small group of people who became quite emboldened about some things. And then we had the activities in the last 2 weeks take place.
Sure. And I've certainly encouraged any of the councillors to go directly to have a conversation with you at the detachment if they want to be more specific about some of the concerns that they have or what they're hearing. So we'll just leave it at that for now. I want to go to Councillor Organ and then Councillor Patterson.
Just a quick question. Am I right here on hearing that we have a drug recognition officer in English now?
We don't. So I do have a drug expert, a court recognized drug expert on this half of the county, but actually posted to the Wamacook team. But we have access to them because we're on a county, like a district model. And I've recommended that same person because they're a drug trafficking and a drug investigation expert to go on the drug recognition expert program as well. The way that program works is we only need one or two. They're the person who's called after that driver is stopped and being investigated for the impaired driving. And then we would access them much the same as we would access a qualified technician for standard alcohol impaired driving. So we did have one, we lost them. We have a couple of what we call standard field sobriety testers. And then we do have access to some DREs that are in our neighboring districts. I have one that would be an hour and a half away. The way the new laws work, though, they give me 3 hours to generate results with different things. So it just depends on like the nature of the case. I'm hoping by, remember the dates, October and December. So by the end of December, I'll have another drug recognition expert. We've been without one now for 9 months.
Mr. Patterson.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up, Josh, on the highway patrol situation. I travel to North Sydney every 2 or 3 days, and there's a real presence of RCMP officers on that stretch of highway. Do you go to the county line, or does North Sydney Highway Patrol come beyond the county line to Seal Island Bridge or whatever?
Our area is only to Daylem Lake, the county line.
Yeah.
So I always think of it as, people look at us like, oh, you're the provincial police, you're federal. We're actually on a contract. And the contract through the Provincial Policing Services Agreement, Victoria County is being billed. And I honestly don't know what the bill is. I'm sure Leanne knows what the bill is. Yeah, the bill went up 8%. So we police just the county. And then we have right now a shared model with Wamacook to ensure that Baddeck has adequate backup and that Wamacook has adequate backup. And then the Ingonish team is generally self-sufficient with the 5 of them there. And then we have a school resource officer that's currently not being fulfilled, unfortunately. And then I'm the unifying person in the middle, but we tend not to go outside of the county lines unless there is an urgent need, an emergency situation, or an officer safety issue. Last week, we were down in Wakaba. There was an urgent need, but we try to focus just on us and on our own internal Victoria County policing and nothing else. That Highway Patrol unit, they stop at Daylem Lake as well. It would be an asset if this October or this August 30th decision stays true and they're released. They wouldn't be here every day. They're an enhanced policing service. I hope they would circle all of Cape Breton Island and write as many tickets as they could to slow down speed on the highways and reduce accidents and fatal MVIs. We'll see what happens by August 30th, though.
So just a final point, are you at full complement here at the Baddeck detachment, staff-wise?
So we are a full complement, but there's 5 people who are away from work right now. So we call those soft vacancies.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
5 people that are currently not at work. So we call those soft vacancies.
Okay.
So we're fully staffed, which prevents me from bringing someone
Yes.
in to work in those positions. That's the dilemma that I'm working through. So we do have that surplus position was created. We're waiting to fulfill that one. And then one person is planned to be transferring out, and we have a recruit plan to backfill that person.
Okay.
And then the other 5 vacancies, we're working to resolve them. They are not short-term things. The things that are outside of my scope to resolve is what I would say.
All right. Well, listen, I want to thank you very much for providing your report today, and you forward the stats. Leanne will circulate, and if any of the councillors have questions or comments, so either direct them to Leanne forward back or to you directly, as we suggested earlier. So always, thanks for your time, and we appreciate the service you provide to the municipality. And with that, we're going to take a 5-minute break, recess. Thank you. We're going to reconvene council. The next item on the agenda is the approval of council minutes for May 27th, 2024. Those minutes have been circulated to you. You've had a chance to review them. Or were there any errors or omissions in those minutes? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve the minutes May 27th, 2024. Moved by Councillor McNeil, seconded by Councillor McDonald. All in favor? Contrary minded? Further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, minutes are approved. We're going to move on to the CAO's report. It's been circulated to you as well. Leave it to Leanne to highlight some of the items in that report.
Yes, thanks. So you've received it. I'm just going to highlight a few things that I have noted on there. So the next steps in the transfer of the Baddeck Library branch are being looked at, and that is in the process of happening. Just to let you know that. Also, surveys have gone out for the Ingonish wastewater potential catchment zone, and they are starting to come back in. We have staff members that are going to be down at the Ingonish Fire Department Fire Hall on the 25th and 26th from 11 until 3. I'm still looking into FCM green funding available for municipal building options and putting together an application for this building. On the upland planning report, there's one last area that needs to be completed before the final draft can be presented for reading, for first reading, but we're still waiting to hear from the Department of Environment and Climate Control, Department of Environment on water protection zones. For Jackie, Maya Transport says they will be collecting the stockpile of tires down north in the next couple of weeks, but businesses should contact them or divert Nova Scotia to get on the list to get their tires picked up and to find out what the dates are. Been discussing some solar energy initiatives with some energy groups, and we might be looking to discuss with council in the next little bit some potential solar or alternative energy projects related to that. So we will be scheduling a meeting on that when I have some more information. Just to let you all know, we have to have an equity, diversity, and inclusion plan available by March 2025. And going to be getting some more details on that, but it's a plan that we have to work on. And related to an ask from last council, there was municipal comfort centers that were requested to be on our website, and so that is now on the website. It only has municipal ones. Yeah, I knew where you were going with that. It only lists the municipal ones. So a couple of areas just to note some things in our communications department. Communications has been working on the next newsletter that'll be going out. The focus on it is going to be on residents, and they're looking for events that are coming up in June or July in your areas, and they'll be reaching out to all councillors. And I believe that there was an email today that went out to have you submit events that are going on in your districts. They're also doing profiles on some of the volunteers who were nominated this year so that they can get some recognition, not just the ones that won, but some of the other ones. And just a note, as the warden had mentioned, June 21st is National Aboriginal Day, so that is tomorrow, so we recognize that. In our finance and HR department, tax bills have been printed and they have gone out today, so we're ahead of time, but they have gone out. You will be seeing those soon. They're also working on a resolution for a temporary borrowing resolution for a portion of the cost of the Dingwall Water Tower. So that will be coming to council for a motion when we have final costs and bills on that. In Public Works. So as we had discussed at Committee of the Whole, we are expected to enforce the provincial treated wood ban beginning July 5th, and we'll be bringing a motion forward and in the motion section of the agenda on some new tipping fees related to collection of C&D material. Waste collection that was scheduled for tomorrow, Friday, June 21st, was collected on Wednesday, June 19th. And just so that's already happened. We've also started discussions with GFL regarding options for them to collect our organics that we process currently and to take them to CBRM for processing. So we'll let you know some more about that. That was an initiative we talked about a couple of years ago, what to do with those. And so we're in discussions right now. In water, so we're, as Councillors North would know, our Ingonish Waterline Extension project has begun, and there's some work that's going on down there. They have a lot of it laid already, I believe. So they've been doing quite a bit of work. There is also sludge removal that will be happening at the Neils Harbor water plant with a cost of approximately $40,000 for that. As Councillor McNeil had mentioned, the water bills will be going out early next month, and this is the first bill after the next April 1st rate increase. And to let Councillor McDonald know that the Dingwall service, that there was an interruption in service there today, that has been restored at this site. In our Community Development, Tourism, Recreation Department, just a couple of things to note. In recreation, our team's been working with Parks Canada to establish a small disc golf course on site at the museum up here at the AGB, and stay tuned for some more information. It looks kind of like a cool interactive thing to do. We've had a staff member that has attended a Jays Care affiliated schools jamboree and witnessed the program in action. So this is the Toronto Blue Jays Care. We continue to work on the program to be delivered here in Victoria County. And I'm not sure if you've noticed, but when you watch the Jays games, the 50/50s that are there, they're now available for sale in Ontario and Nova Scotia. And because we're associated with that or affiliated with that, any of the money that's spent from here comes back to Nova Scotia. So, and there's lots of great things that they have been doing. So hopefully we'll be hearing some more about that. On our trails, trails have met with Helen Smith from DNRR to update on some work being done by them on the trails here. Most notably are the North River Falls Trail and Red Island Trail, where a big project is underway to review fish habitat before deciding on the next steps for repairing a storm damaged trail there. Also, a section of trail work that has been ongoing since the fall of last year has now been completed. And there will be a new request for proposal that will be upcoming for a 10+ kilometer section through Big Hill to connect into New Glen. And this is all, it's all going to be on existing public works road system, some I think K-class roads. We're now getting an NSHA update that's being sent to me to pass on information. So Buchanan Memorial celebrates its 25th anniversary this year. To celebrate this milestone, the Buchanan Memorial Hospital Foundation is hosting a celebration on Saturday, July 27th from 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the Cabot Education Center. And they've made note of the different specialty clinics that do come to do come to Victoria County. And it's in my note there, and it'll be included in my report in the minutes. So anyone that's interested in specialty clinics. That's what I have.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Deputy Warden.
So you want it emailed? Sure. Yep.
Go ahead.
Yep, definitely. I believe it's already in the works. We've been working hard. Some staff members have been working hard on the upcoming election. Yep.
Any other questions or comments before we move on? Councillor McNeil.
It is. So we talked about this. It's behind a little bit. However, assessments have gone up. The amount that we have collected, if we looked at it as a percentage, I feel like, and I believe that we're further ahead. The dollar amount based on percentages and assessments going up over the last bit. makes it look like we're behind, but I believe that we are percentage-wise doing really, really well. And CFO and I had a conversation on this the other day. I don't remember being in this spot before. I know it was always over $1 million or 1.2 million. So staff are working really hard. It is behind a little bit right now, but we know people are struggling right now too. So yeah.
Just don't want to let it get out of hand the way it was prior, so, yeah.
Trust me, we're with you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? The tire collection, is that just north, or are they going to go through southern part?
Happened in the south and we're
Southern.
waiting for it down.
Perfect. All right, we're going to move on to district concerns. Deputy Warden. Thank you very much. District number 4. Councillor Longba. Okay.
Oh. Oh, I'm gonna say that again since I wasn't online.
Can I ask you,
could donate.
ask you to present it to the CAO, and maybe we'll get
Yeah.
a photo of just in recognition?
Yeah, I'd like to donate this to the CAO of Victoria County to have it in the our municipal building here, put up on the wall. It's a fundraiser. If you want to buy one for yourself, you can buy one from the Bredor Lake Biosphere. And yeah, it has the biosphere and the watershed highlighted. I'd like to give it to Leanne McCacken.
Thank you very much, Councillor. We appreciate the donation.
I'd like to send my my condolences to the Ryan Morrison family on the loss of Francis Ryan, who was born in Baddeck, and he was vice principal of Baddeck School for a time, and he's really well-loved member of District 4 since many years. So I'd just like to pass along condolences to his family. I had a message from a resident in Goose Cove, and this is a reoccurring concern of that Nova Scotia Power was asked 2 years ago to remove or turn off a street light that's in her yard, and it still hasn't been turned off. Although I did get the letter from them saying that they're behind schedule and that they hope to be caught up by the end of June. But she said it's disrupting her sleep, so it would be nice if they could just take it away. I'd like to make a motion that we live stream all our public meetings the same way we do for our council meetings, because if we're able to do it for the council meetings, why not do it for all of our meetings when we're in here when it's possible?
Actually something that we're working on a communications plan, and that is something that could come forward within that. So we're trying to decide. So there's more than just there's more to it than just saying you want to live stream it. We have to have people, you have to have staff, you have to have a good program. You have to have the ability to do it. So we hear you, but when we bring forward the communications plan, which we're in the middle of drafting, which is going to say, here's what we do and here's how we do it. That is something that could be discussed then, possibly. That's okay.
Okay. So what happens?
It's like Councillor Long was, if we can do it for one, we should do it for all. It's unfair to the public who's watching not to have access to the whole thing. And to be technical about it, a committee of the whole meeting is a council meeting. So if you're saying you live stream council meetings, you should be at least live streaming meetings like this plus committee of the whole, in my opinion.
So, sorry, but technically speaking, we should be having a discussion after we have the call for the, it has to be seconded before we have discussion on.
He
So did you
seconded.
second it? Okay, just for clarification. So these are, okay, we're good. So that is the motion, and thank you for your comments. Was there anything further you wanted to add to that phrase? Councillor Patterson? No. Anybody else have any other comments or questions? So I just want to rephrase that motion again, please, so we get it correctly.
My motion was that we should live stream all council meetings because we live stream like the one today, but we don't live stream their committee of the whole. We didn't live stream the one earlier about coastal protection. All of those things are things that everybody wants to hear, but as the CAO said, we're working on better communication, I guess, or better live streaming at this time. And that's in the works
So
right
it's
now.
just a matter of wording. It should be meetings of the council rather than council meetings, because to Councillor Patterson's point.
Well, we should live stream all our public meetings.
Yeah,
Which
committee.
is whenever a council's together, they're public, right?
Exactly. They're meetings of councils as just restricted to council meetings. I'm just,
Yes.
so the wording is correct. So we good with that? And it's for consideration. So all in favor? Contrary minded? Motion's carried. Thank you. Anything else, Councillor?
Yes, last but not least, we had a meeting with Public Works, but that wasn't live streamed, so I just want to put this so it's people that are watching can hear that the concerns that were brought up in my district were, one was on the, well, Steve McDonald and Keith Bain were here. So one of them was the flooding issue of a residence road in Big Harbor. There was creosote beams in a resident's backyard in Tarbert Vale, as well as the remains of the bridge in the river. The addition of the name Old Big Harbor Road on the Placer Mines Road sign. And I received a message from a resident on New Hamilton Road of children playing sign that was knocked down by the snowplow this past winter. And Keith Bain said he was going to look into that, and Steve McDonald said he is going to look after the other concerns that I brought up. I just wanted to have that live streamed and in the minutes.
Thank you.
And that's it for District 4.
Thank you for your report from your district, Councillor. Councillor McDonald, anything from District number 8?
Yes, thanks, Warren. Just a few quick things. I had a call from a resident in Capstick and regarding illegal dumping that's taking place up in Capstick, and I had advised him. He asked what the municipality standpoint on it is. And I said, basically, we can only provide signage, because unless we're there to, not us as a municipality, but he should probably contact the RCMP, because you have to catch the people in the act doing the illegal dumping. And so I referred him to the RCMP, and I said signage could be provided, but normally they're just taken down by the culprits that are doing the illegal dumping. So I just wanted the minutes to reflect that if I could. Also, I had calls mostly from people in Meat Cove area regarding the busing situation, that the children in Meat Cove had missed 9 days of school in June, not to have availability for busing. But I do know that the school board was down there today, or maybe it was, I think it was, no, actually it was yesterday. They had a meeting with the residents of Meat Cove at the Meat Cove Welcome Center. I've yet to hear any of the feedback from that. And just wanted that to be noticed. And that's it for number 8 today.
Thank you very much for your report, sir, for your district. We'll go to District number 5. Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Warden. Just one item. I got a call from Joella Foles recently, and as we all know, she was one of the co-founders of Celtic Colours. She is now back on the board of Celtic Colours, and the discussion revolved around volunteers, and they are having a problem recruiting volunteers for their site managers and stage managers, not so much the community volunteers, which are part of it too, but the people that Celtic Colors uses to look after the concerts and so on. So she had explored some sources of funding to do some training for volunteers, and unfortunately, most of the deadlines, New Horizons, for example, they don't close until September, which is only a month before Celtic Colors starts, and they don't announce the successful applicants until the spring. So they're kind of bound that way. She was also going to check out if there are any provincial funding available, but I up the subject, maybe I shouldn't have, but anyway, that a possibility that some councillors from their district budgets may want to contribute some funding toward this. And to that end, I would like to move, and I'll have to, and this is pending. We don't know if it's going to be spent or not. And it's also pending on how much I have left in my budget, but I do think I have enough for this. I'd like to move that I take pending, take $2,000 from my district budget to go toward Celtic Colors and their training of volunteers.
You heard the
If anybody
motion.
else wants to step up to the plate, feel more than welcome.
Thank you. You heard the motion. Do we have a seconder, please? Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor? I'm
Aye.
reminded, motion's carried. Thank you. Thank you for that, sir. Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
That's it. We'll move on to Councillor Organ, please.
Just two little items from District 7. Had a call from a senior looking for grants. I contacted MLA Keith Bain's office, and they graciously are coming down to take care of it, to meet up with them or fill out all the forms. And like Councillor Longbaugh, I just like to know, my constituents to know that I brought forth the issues with Mr. Steve McDonald and Keith Bain about the erosion on the road across from the Highland Manor, which is a safety issue that's going to be looked into. And once again, the no parking sign for the school bus in White Point was brought up, and hopefully it will be solved. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Warden. Just a couple of things. I received a phone call from a resident a couple of weeks ago about a street light repair. It was out. The street light's been there for 40 or 50 years. The resident said they never paid for the light. Obviously, I think it's a municipal light, but when they called, it wasn't in their inventory as a municipal light. But Steph, he got a work order for the repair, and Steph called about it, and they said that it could be a municipal light going forward. Like I moved that it would be a municipal light going forward, and not if there's any charges for past repairs or anything that we don't take on that. But
So are you looking for that to be one of your
Yeah,
streetlights?
yeah. But like I said, how can they don't have a they don't have an inventory of lights themselves. So how can they say that that's not a light, a municipal light to begin with? It doesn't make sense. And it's been repaired twice already with no problem. So I don't know what's going on. But I make that a motion that we take over the.
You heard the motion. Do we have a seconder, please? Seconded by the Deputy Warden. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried.
Also, I'd like to send out a letter of congratulations to the board and volunteers of Central Cape Breton Community Ventures on another successful World Oceans Day Festival. There was over 400 people, I guess, on the weekend through Wyoming. To make that a motion.
That is a motion. Do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Longbaugh is seconded. Any further discussion?
And also,
Motion, all in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried.
and also just to add, I wasn't at the meeting with Public Works Nova Scotia, but I received a phone call on that day about Bucklaw signs down. And I did email Steve and MLA Keith Payne about that, along with other issues throughout the district. And they are looking into it, and they are going to be taking a tour of the district in the next couple of weeks too. So
Thank you, Councillor. I don't have any motions, but I just want to mention that both Councillor Patterson and I received a letter of concern about the lack of charging units for electric vehicles. And we just want to recognize we received that correspondence, and we forwarded to Parker Horton, our EDO, for review and comment. And apparently Parker will be providing us with an update, his update. But clearly, the individual was absolutely correct about the lack of charging stations, particularly we are the home of the Cabot Trail, and we are a tourism destination, and we really should contact our MPs and our MLAs and suggest that we get further infrastructure for those. And I guess saying I didn't have a motion, I would like to make that a motion, that
Right.
we contact both levels of government to
Just follow on
recognize the
the word,
importance.
There's three different systems, I guess you could call them. And most people want the rapid charge, right? Because
Yes.
the other one takes hours. Are there any in the north?
Tons of them in Parks Canada. Park Canada has 4, 8, 12, probably close
So
to
there's
20.
one in North Sydney at Sobeys, and there's one here.
Well, we have some up at the park here, but I'm
Yeah,
not
you
sure
do.
if they're
That's right.
rapid.
Yeah.
They're not rapid chargers, no.
They're not rapid, it's just
They're
slow
not
charging.
rapid.
But I mean, technology is changing to the
Yeah.
point that the slow chargers are going to be
Replaced sooner.
passe. So I would just like to make the motion
There's
that
a motion on the floor. Seconder for that motion? Seconder, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, motion carried.
thank you very much. That concludes our district concerns.
One thing, Bruce.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Deputy Warden.
Just one thing I want to mention, I have been receiving a number of calls about the bridge in Ingonish Ferry. It was paved last year and it's just disintegrating this year. Anyway, the bridge at the head of the harbor at Ingonish Harbor. There's 3 bridges, one of them there is in bad shape, but Public Works have notified us that hopefully tomorrow they will be doing hot patching on the bridge. It's only a temporary repair until they decide what exactly they're going to do with it, but it will solve the issues with it for now.
Okay,
That's
thank
good,
you
thank
for
you.
that. We're going to move on to, we require some motions. We received a copy of property tax exemptions, recommendations from staff. Before we make a motion on that list, any discussion on any of the accounts that were sent out? Go ahead, Councillor Patterson.
Thank you very much. I'm just wondering about the Aiden Foundation, where it's listed as ineligible and violates the grant policy criteria. Up until last year, it was eligible. What happened this year?
So you passed a grant policy that states, as I had noted in the document that we had sent out, that your grant policy that you approved says that you don't support religious affiliations.
So, okay, we added that recently or in the last revision of it, Leanne?
Yep.
And it wasn't, and that's the same with the Bible camp in the Campbellton, too. It's
Correct.
the same thing. So, we're on solid footing with that. By, like I said, they were eligible up until last year.
Well, another example of that is at the last round of the district grants, we came back with a recommendation and then things changed based on, we followed policy, council made some other decisions on their behalf. So do you want to follow policy
Yep.
or do you not
Mhm.
want to,
Mhm.
or do you want to make other decisions? So yeah,
No.
we are now, this was the first year that we did the go around of it as staff. And so we did the academic follow through of the policy. And so that's why we came up with the decisions that we did.
So, The explanation being that in the past, we didn't have that in the policy, the religious connotation or whatever. Now we do, and we're following it.
I believe it was there last year, but it's council's decision to make on the final recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Deputy Warden?
We're a government building, so we are exempt, we're assessed as exempt. So water utilities are, so this is their buildings for their water utility, and water utility is outside of the government because they're a separate entity. So that is why. So they have always been charged. Their water utility has always been charged property tax. Yeah. 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 It's new this year as an ask for. Yeah.
So to follow up on that, are you any other?
Yeah, I'm good.
So I'm sorry. So this is, did you say it was not new, but it was new? I'm sorry. I'm a little.
It's a new ask from the Baddeck water utility. So they have paid their tax in the past. And so this year they are asking for an exemption of their water utilities. And it's a mixed bag across the province. Some municipalities charge, some don't. It's a mixed bag.
So they have paid these amounts all along up until
Correct.
this year. Okay, because I wasn't. Yes, please.
Oh.
That had us change last year. So they have never been by us before.
Sorry, I should have reverted to you.
But through assessment, like they were exempt through assessment.
Exactly my point. Thank you for, yeah. Yes, and to me, I look at it from, we never charged for 110 years. And this would be the first time that we would be billing them. Would that be correct? That they would be responsible for paying this amount of money? Well, since they were incorporated, probably. Yeah. I just don't see that being a charge that I think we should be passing on to the village. We historically have never done it. We just had a discussion with them. We see what they are facing. This is just another cost that didn't previously be passed on directly. And in my opinion, I don't think we should be putting that charge back on the village, in my opinion. And to your point, they have shared this building for a number of years as well and never pay taxes and et cetera, et cetera. So that's my thoughts.
So to be clear, it's a change in an assessment. It's not, so their assessment has changed. The type of assessment has
Yes.
changed. So that's why they haven't been charged in the past. And our assessment has not changed. But I'm assuming if we were assessed as commercial, we would be charged. So just,
We have a seconder for that. Any further discussion? All in favor? Contrary minded? We have. Okay. So
make sure that the village knows that we are exempting them.
Yeah.
Through the municipality,
Mm.
that this is a charge that they should occur, but we did exempt them as a municipality.
And this is a year by year consideration as well. So the vice chair is here in the audience today, so, yeah. And, so contrary minded was,
No, I'd have a question too, or comment.
okay.
Uh,
I'm sorry, did you have a comment on the Village of Baddeck
Yes.
account or something else? Okay, go ahead, please. We haven't voted
Yeah.
on it. Yeah, we haven't voted on it. Just discussion on the motion.
I will, well, if it's going to pass, I'd like it noted that with this amount should be taken off the ask of what they want for
Okay,
uh,
it should be
our
considered.
contribution
Yeah.
towards for this year.
Okay, that's reasonable. Thank you for that. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion's carried. Any other accounts there that any discussion on?
Just
Sorry?
Add that to the list of exemptions. Yes. Yeah, we're not there yet. Yeah.
Is there a list of all the people who didn't get excused from their taxes?
This is the full list. Some got approved, some did not.
You've got the list.
I got this list.
Can I ask if we take them off the list, is this going to put us over our budget?
Yes.
So these are the people that asked for exemption, or these are the people that didn't get it?
Asked for.
And, okay, and then there's yes, no.
Sent that out yesterday.
And some, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see this. So the Cape Breton Bible Camp is, they're not eligible? Is that right? Why are they not eligible? Oh, because they're religious?
affiliation. There's a cause.
Oh, so they've never been eligible then? Have they?
So it's the same as
Having a
the
problem.
conversation that we just had.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anybody else? I'm a little confused and help me here on this one. The Pretoria Yacht Club, it says if it's non-for-profit, but it says revenue generating, revenue.
Yeah.
So
So again, the administration sat down and we thought, we went through the list. We knew we had a budget number to meet.
Yeah.
And we went to the ones who are currently revenue generating that still qualify. And we thought we would write them, we would do commercial to residential on those.
okay.
So that's why that was the process that we
Okay,
followed.
so
through.
now it's just under nonprofit and then revenue generating.
Yep.
It was the language. All right, any further discussion on before we make the motion? Yes, sir.
I just had a question. With regard to the list, if there's a non-for-profit that didn't submit a tax exemption, what's the process? Does it go to, if they don't apply for tax exemption, then what happens to the non-for-profit or the property? Is it taxed for, does it go in remittance for 2 years and then it goes up for tax sale? If they don't submit?
So
my
they,
question.
well, they get billed
So
and
they
then
get
they
billed.
are expected to pay.
And if they don't pay,
If they don't pay after 2 years, well, so there's two different things that could happen. One is the only people who can write off taxes are you people sitting around this table. So they could come and ask council to write it off. Or after 2 years, the tax sale process would start, correct?
thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a motion to approve the list with the noted changes that we recommended. We need a motion to approve that list, please. So moved. Thank you. Deputy Warden, do we have a seconder? Councillor McNeil, all in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried. Going to move on to the next item. amend the municipal fee policy to reflect the collection of treated wood. We had that meeting
We did-
Tuesday.
Yep, we did have that meeting, so it would be a motion to accept a C and D as of July 5th, 2024, a fee increase for C and D material for ICI customers in Baddeck at $96.41, and for residential customers of $85 per metric ton, both are metric ton. And for down in the Dingwall site, it would be, because it's a flat rate down there, it would be $96.41 for ICI customers, which are commercial customers, and $85 for a full residential load, and $42.50 for a half ton.
So I don't think we need any further conversation on this. We had the meeting on Tuesday. This was a recommendation from that, so we just need a motion to that effect, please. We need a motion. Somebody, please. Thank you. Seconded by
Second.
Councillor McDonald, all in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. And with that, perhaps CAO or somebody from Public Works, Councillor Longva and I had a inquiry from resident in regards to what to do with some of these materials. So somebody would respond to that, or would that be reasonable? Just send him a copy of the new fee.
On to you, Councillor Longbuck.
Correspondence. It's been all circulated, and is there anything?
So
new?
there was one other motion there on the
I'm sorry.
CBRN.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
CBRN agreement, contribution agreement.
We already allowed for that in the budget to go from 100 to 105,000, and that was a recommendation from our committee of the whole. We need a motion to indicate that. Moved by Councillor Patterson, seconded by, thank you.
Jesus.
It's been a long day. I'm not getting any younger either, so. If we have a seconder for that, please. Second by Councillor McNeil, all in favor? Contrary minded?
You also had village discussion.
Yeah, we're gonna. So, yeah, thanks for putting your names towards me. So we had a meeting with the village earlier today. They expressed some concerns and a request for funding. Is that something we want to deal with today, or do you want to refer to the next meeting in July?
Just for the next meeting in July, mainly, I'd like for staff to come up with, if we're going to accept it or do anything, like, I'd like to have financial input of where we're at in our budget and what it's going to do to our budget and stuff. So I don't think we have enough information yet to make a decision, so I'd like to defer.
And I think in clear in writing, I would.
Yeah,
I agree with that. So we will defer that to the July meeting council, and we will take a minute after when we're done to set that date. I'm not sure if we have one set already. So we're good with that. Council's good. So we're going to move on to, is there any correspondence that hasn't been sent?
Nope.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the public? Oh, I'm sorry about that. Yep.
So I share ask other maybe not back, but as soon as the incident occurs, oh, sorry. Follow the process where it's reported, and I believe the end, the initial complaint should go to you. And then you notify the chair of the committee, and then the committee goes into action to resolve the situation. Interesting, just one interesting fact. Ken Oates, who is the member at large on the committee, is very well versed in this. For $300 and some, you can buy an instrument that goes around the cow's neck. You don't need wires or anything besides that. It's all controlled by GPS, so you know where your cows are at all times. So that could be an option for farmers that might be cheaper than fencing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is what's happening in the world
Mhm.
today. So anyway, the committee did meet, we're taking action on the, situation that we've been, presented with. And I know the warden, I think, has received some information about from complainants too, about it. So we're on the road.
Thank you for that update, sir. Appreciate it. Back Deputy Warden for a quick one.
Sorry, just one thing I meant to bring up earlier. We have a policy or a program where we can lend money to residents for septic or water. It has a maximum of 10,000. I have a senior in our area that has not had a septic now since last February. He's been dealing with a qualified professional, which you have to do now in order to get the sign of a new system to put in. That took 4 tries before the Department of Environment would approve a system. The system came in with a cost. He's already paid $2,200 for the professional and other work, the engineering. The bill came in now in order for him to do it is $25,300 to put a sewer in Ingonish. So hopefully with the sewer coming in Ingonish, that will alleviate some of that. But in the meantime, I'm just wondering, he was able to go to housing, get a $7,000 grant. I just talked to housing, they've upped it to 10,000. And I know we had 10,000, but have we ever considered giving more than the 10,000 from our side? Because it is something that he would pay back over 10 years. Is that a possibility or is that in stone?
This is your policy.
Yep.
And and a bylaw. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
And I believe that it's in combination with clean. No, it's not. It's just ours.
It's just ours, yeah.
Pace.
So it's no, sorry, it's not space program. So that would be an amendment to a bylaw that you would have to look into, but hopefully we have an answer on the scope of our project
Yes,
prior to a bylaw passing.
exactly. Yeah. But anyway, okay. I just want consideration be given to
Yeah.
it. So
So with that, not to belabor the conversation, but that was, it's not pace, isn't that what we call that? Or right. Yes. So to your point, because costs of the bylaw, its limit for water and sewer is 10,000, which, so in order, if we wish to increase that, just as of, would we have to go do what's in
First and second readings, or-
that?
can you just do amendment to it or you have to do first and second readings?
Changes to your bylaws, you have to do first and second readings.
Maybe we should- Just in light of costs, maybe
Yeah.
it's something we should look at, maybe if
look
we
at.
would bring back to council. Perhaps a recommendation about what we should be, how much, or if you have a figure in mind, maybe for
Well,
consideration.
even went to 15,000 is what I'm.
Yeah, I'm thinking 15 or 20, just in light of
Yeah.
like sewage systems and drilled
Yeah.
wells have gone up considerably, so maybe we just take a look at that. That's okay.
Okay, thank you.
My apologies, I neglected to say that on committee of the whole, I brought up the issue about a yard sale bylaw. And there was a question about whether or not who would enforce summary offense tickets, and it's potentially the RCMP would consider looking at that depending on the circumstances. So I would like to start with the consideration of a yard sale bylaw, and we'll start that conversation at the next council meeting, if everybody's okay with that. We have a blueprint of what it could look like, so we'll just start the process after the changes are made. Yes.
Could we get more blueprints from other places as well? Because I find that the one we have, that you can't buy things and then resell them at a flea market or a yard sale. I don't know. People do that all the time.
That's probably a question for the CAO, but I'm not sure how many yard sale
Zoning, I guess zoning comes into it too, like
many
in.
bylaws are out there, because I did ask Leanne to take a look through her process.
But that's just a sample bylaw. It's your bylaw, so you can put whatever
Yeah.
words you want on there. So
Yeah.
And Yeah.
come forward with your suggestions, and that could be built into there if everyone agrees.
And if you
Thanks.
can find better, or you want to add better, we'll certainly take a look at it, 100%.
Thank you.
I'm just trying to think of something that was relatively already in use and easy to adapt. So anyway, with that, I just wanted to pass that along, and we'll add it as an item for discussion in July. All right, moving on. We did committee reports. Any questions from the public there, sir? Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. Our next meeting for council is in July. We haven't set the date yet. I will talk with perhaps Steph either later today or Monday, because they're tied up tomorrow, and we will send out a date to you. The meeting will be at 5 o'clock. Did we set the date? The July date will be determined and advertised and sent out in the next couple days. All right, motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn by Councillor Patterson.